What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Gallop Out. I'm your host, Ryan Anderson, and I get to be joined once again by the Honda Handicapper. That's Jackson Muniz. Jackson, what's up, brother?
Honda Handicapper has returned. And is that a new intro? I don't think I've seen
it was
that
a new
one.
intro. I was playing around with some new intros. You know, with all the free time I definitely don't have right now, I figured that the number one thing on my mind should be to fix the countdown timer. Wasn't perfect. We'll keep tweaking it. We'll keep having fun with it. I was trying to get a new audio clip in there, but that wasn't working, so I'll try it again another day. Today, though, you and I are back. We got to talk Breeders' Cup Sprint, Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and the Breeders' Cup Classic. And we're going to be joined by a new guest. You see it on the banner scrolling below. You know him from America's Day at the Races, from the big Fox shows, from the Fox Sports 1, Fox Sports 2, the YouTube channel. He's a NYRA personality. You know him from Talking Horses as well. It is Greg Wolf. Greg, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, you guys. Excited to be here.
Yeah, excited to have you. The lighting in your room is fantastic. I don't have that same sort of that privilege in this den type situation I got going on over here. Jackson's got some good natural light from the car windows though. So yeah, you guys.
I was worried because the sun just came in and started to hit me right here, but it's working out for now.
There we go. I was out at Del Mar this morning watching a lot of the workouts. Most of the horses have shipped over. I think we're still waiting on another big shipment coming in from Saratoga. Greg, I don't know if you've been out to Saratoga or been out to Belmont at the Big A for any of the morning workouts for these Breeders' Cup contending horses, but you saw a lot of them this summer up at the spa, including horses that we're going to talk about like Ted Noffi, Fierceness, Sierra Leone, and of course your favorite for the Breeders' Cup Classic, Sovereignty. What has it been like seeing those horses in person, in the flesh, seeing how they've kind of progressed throughout the year, especially the 3-year-old in Sovereignty?
Yeah, it's incredible just to see the growth of these horses, especially that one. I remember coming to, I loved him actually going into the Kentucky Derby. I was fortunate enough. It doesn't really, it's a rarity. I hit the trifecta cold in the Derby.
Wow. Nice.
So yeah, that's my claim to fame I'm going to be using for a while. But yeah, I remember getting to Saratoga and for, having Belmont at Saratoga, we run into me. I think it was with Mig, maybe we run into Junior Alvarado. And he says, wow, everyone, and they're rightly so. I mean, everyone was talking about journalism, that wow performance, overcoming what he did in the Preakness. And Junior says, yeah, I think everyone forgot about my horse. He's pretty damn good. And yeah, I've been on him from day one. He's so big, he's so strong. And then just the way he's able to mature in the way he runs his races too, being able to be just tactically more close. And that finish he has, he's a beast of a horse. I think he's going to be, anyone's going to have with their A race have a real hard time beating him.
I couldn't agree more. And I think the scariest part of the development of Sovereignty was, I believe it was the Belmont Stakes, when all of a sudden he was closer to the pace. Yeah. When he showed that ability to be close, I think that was a wake-up call of just, oh man, he's not a deep closer. He's not like the Sierra Leone where he's going to need that pace to unfold in front of him. It's like, oh, all of a sudden he can be placed anywhere he wants in the race. And that turn of foot and that acceleration down the lane, the ability to, lengthen that stride wasn't affected at all.
Yeah. I mean, you look back to last year too, and what these, it's incredible to have those top 3 finishers come back, but how those 3-year-olds improved going into the Breeders' Cup Classic. They ran the race of their lives. I mean, if Sovereignty can take that kind of jump forward, I mean, we're going to see something incredibly special, I think.
Without a doubt. I mean, the 115 that he got in the Travers, if he were to build upon that, everybody is running for a very clear distance second, as none of the really, even the older horses have even run figures to compare to that. Jackson, we spoke about this yesterday a little bit, as well as we're going to talk obviously a lot about the Breeders' Cup Classic with it being such a stacked field top to bottom. Something you brought up that was a good point was we saw Hit Show and some other older horses kind of dominate at Keeneland in that graded stakes. And they kind of took the doors off of Bracket Buster and Oscar. Do you kind of take that into effect? I know that those are kind of the second tier 3-year-olds, but they were handily beaten.
Well, there aren't many knocks on Sovereignty, to be clear. But if you are looking for one, it is the fact that so far what we've seen, these 3-year-olds haven't run very well against the older horses. We saw in the Pacific Classic, Fierceness handled journalism very easily with a tougher trip. Obviously, journalism is the second best horse in the 3-year-old crop. He's gone head-to-head with Sovereignty a couple times. He's not at his level, but he's also not that far off, probably. And then obviously on Saturday, we saw Bracket Buster and Gosker get handled pretty easily by the likes of Rattle and Roll and Hit Show, who are just not at the level of the Sierra Leones and Fiercenesses. So it's not a huge knock. They may not even apply to Sovereignty at all because he is so good. But I think if you are looking for reasons to bet against him at a shorter price, that's probably the one you're going to be leaning on at this point.
I would assume so too. Greg, did you view anything, or did you look any deeper into that, angle, whether it be a positive or a negative, or is Sovereignty just an outlier based on the beast of a horse that he is?
I think those horses are just such a grades below what Sovereignty is. I mean, I think journalism, we're going to see better from him in the Classic than what we saw in the Pacific Classic. I think he might have been a little bit of a worn out, tired horse at that time, traveling, going back and forth all across the country, competing in the Triple Crown. But I think we might see even better from him on Classic Day. But I don't even better from him taking a step forward. I don't think is good enough to compete with Sovereignty. But look, I mean, there's always a chance that this horse doesn't show the best race of his life and show up. If he does, it opens up. Any other year you have a horse, it's such a rarity to have a horse like Sierra Leone come back and try and repeat and win this race twice. Only Tiz now has done it ever in the history of the Classic, and he's barely being talked about. That's how good Sovereignty's been. I mean, I love the way he's paired his races together too. We saw that big jump forward in the Derby. He ran it again in, I thought even better in the Belmont Stakes, but he paired up figures again. I look at Thoroughgraph quite a bit. And then he ran two just next level, incredibly fast, two fastest races of any 2-year-old this year in the Jim Dandy and the Travers. And to me, he's even better at 1.25 miles, which gives him an even bigger edge against these horses. Some of these other horses might be good and can run fast figures, but at 1.25 miles, are they at their best, or are they stretching it? For him, it's not stretching it at all. We know that's where he excels.
Yeah, I think that's a great point to bring up. One of the biggest arguments you can make is that, well, not arguments, but one of the biggest disappointments of the year is we didn't see the Belmont run at the true 12 furlongs where, I mean, Sovereignty might have gone by the length of the stretch. He might have lapped the horse. Like he was just that 3-year-old campaign that he's had to this point has certainly been one to remember forever. A horse that Jackson brought up, Fierceness, is now 2 for 2 at Del Mar. Both going the 1.25 miles, or sorry, not 2 for 2. Twice in the Exacta in 2 starts, but arguably ran one of the best races of any 3-year-old last season. Up on that extremely hot pace that all but melted down. Obviously got caught by Sierra Leone. Came right back in the Pacific Classic where he showed, I think what's fair to say, is a brand new dimension. He certainly proved me wrong. I thought, as soon as Fierceness drew the rail, if he has any trouble, he's going to throw in the towel. But he won that like a very mature professional horse. So I think he's grown up and he's kind of gotten past all that. Is he the most likely upsetter to Sovereignty in your opinion? Or do you think maybe the Japanese contingent and Forever Young or Sierra Leone possibly repeating? Or somebody else that we haven't talked about yet?
I think it's probably Sierra Leone. That horse has just gotten so good and become so reliable, and I know he's going to be finishing. And the fact what he overcame in that last race, he had to jump over a Rat Ortiz Jr. early on in a race and put him even further back than he wanted to be, and he was still rolling. He probably should have won that race that the Antiquarian won in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. So I know he's going to put in his run. Fierceness, I'm so glad he's back. I'm so glad he's in this race, because if he didn't run, like there was questions after the Whitney, that might be it for him. So they shipped him out the Pacific Classic. If he didn't run good there, that could have been his career. I thought he did overcome a lot in that race. It was his own doing. But, just being on the inside for him is a bad thing, as you mentioned. And then he ducks down to the inside. That very easily just could have been race over for him. But then he figured it out. He was on the inside with horses all over him, split horses. And as you said, even though it wasn't a win, arguably some people thought he ran even better than Sierra Leone in the Classic last year. So now we have 2 races at Del Mar where he's run 2 of the best races of his life. I think that makes him incredibly dangerous. But I think still, even though he overcame that, I think post position is going to be important for him.
No doubt. I think post position is going to play a huge factor. And while we're on the topic of Sierra Leone and Fierceness, the owner of Fierceness and obviously the trainer of Sierra Leone, they have differing opinions, but they entered contrary thinking. The draw is in a few hours this evening. What are your thoughts just overall on, the idea of a rabbit in a race like this?
Yeah, I was on another show and somebody asked me that same question and said, there's this big controversy. I don't think it's that big a controversy. They do this in Europe. They've been doing it for over 100 years. I don't think it's a big deal. I think that horse is just a complete non-factor. He's not that he doesn't belong in this group, but if they want to put the money up to put him in there, fine. I think these riders are smart enough. They're the best in the world to know we're going to let that horse just go, pretend he's not even there, and whoever the speeds are going to sit behind him and let him go off crazy as he wants to, and he's going to back up pretty fast. I don't think it's that big of a controversy. I don't think he's going to impact the race in a lot of ways. So they want to do it, fine. He's going to go fast early. That's his job. I don't think it's going to make a huge difference.
I don't either. Florent Giroux will be aboard. I believe that news came out just the other day. So he's ridden a rabbit successfully for Chad Brown before. I forget what the Grade 1 race was up at, I believe it was at the Spa a couple years ago.
On the turf,
the horse, on the turf, yes, on the turf. Thank you. Idea generation. Yeah. They let that horse go far too slow for too long. But this one is almost guaranteed to come back to them. I mean, Contrary Thinking has absolutely no business being in this race.
$5 bet on that horse, that's too much. I mean, it almost should be a
100%.
Yes.
I really think, rabbits are in there to do their thing. We see sometimes, and it's a rarity, but yeah, as you said, it happened here in the U.S., but sometimes you do see it in Europe. They keep going. That's not going to happen here.
No, I don't think anybody has to be concerned about that. That's going to be the Breeders' Cup Classic, obviously, a major contingent. Getting to see most of these horses in the morning. I wasn't a huge, I was going to try and beat Sovereignty as we were going in, just 3-year-old, seeing him on the track in the mornings. I don't know that that's a possibility anymore. He seems like he's so intelligent. He knows exactly what he's supposed to do and how he's supposed to do it. Watching him kind of gallop the last couple of days, he was very kind of within himself, but you could see he wanted to do more. And then he worked this morning, and it was finally like, okay, cool. They let me run a little bit. Like, could we keep, can Saturday be here already? The work was really good. It was just so professional. And obviously it's a Breeders' Cup Classic. It's what you want to see. But to see a 3-year-old have that kind of mind on him, I think is very, very unique. Because not all of them do. Some of them are still kind of growing into themselves. Journalism is another very smart one. But I think Sovereignty still kind of holds that.
Junior, I just think, has so much confidence on this horse, too. I think it's been great for Junior Alvarado, who's, he's been a great rider for a long time. But he went through some struggles a few years ago. And this horse has just been so great for his confidence. And he's made all the right decisions, and I think they're really a good team together.
I think so too. I think they're a really good partnership, especially with Mr. Mott in there as well. That'll be the Breeders' Cup Classic conversation coming up this Friday. Next one I want to talk about. I was so excited when you texted me the horses that you wanted to speak about, because one of them in here is going to be Jackson's top pick. The other one is 99% going to be my top pick in the race. I like this horse in the Bing Crosby. We got to go to the Breeders' Cup Sprint. This is the wrong tab. Let me go do this. Here we go. We're going to the Breeders' Cup Sprint. First horse that we're going to talk about is the filly that has been entered, or the mare rather. No, filly. I was right. That has been entered to run against the boys, and that is Copian. That news came out just the other day. Greg, overall, what are your thoughts about her going 6 in this event? A distance she has never gone in her career. She went 6.5 on the debut, and obviously won very nicely. Do you anticipate her maybe being closer to the pace, or what do you think about the cutback from the 7 furlongs that she typically had?
I thought this added a lot of intrigue to the race. I'm a lot more interested in this sprint now because she's in this race. Richard Mandela is one of the absolute masters in my mind of all time. He's one of the great trainers we've ever had. I thought it was a strange decision because, as you said, she's never gone this distance. He was trying to get her to go to the distaff to see if she could handle that kind of distance. And, it seems like it didn't work out. So they said, okay, we're going to pull back. I thought 7 furlongs would be absolutely perfect for her. She ran the best race of her career at 7 furlongs. So I know he has Tamara in that race, but still, I thought that was the race for her. To go to 6 was interesting. She has shown a lot of quickness in the past. I don't think she's speed of the speed, and the fact she's coming out of a route race too, is that going to dull the speed that she does have a little bit? She is immensely talented, and she has some of the fastest sprint races of anybody in this field. He knows what he's doing. I trust him, but this is a tough spot, and it's tough to take at 6 furlongs. So I would have loved her in the filly and mare sprint. Now I'm not so sure.
I'm right with you. I would have loved her in the filly and mare sprint. I would have liked her in the distaff, especially with some late defections in Cavalieri and Torpedo Anna. Torpedo being retired and Cavalieri, I think, is still in training, but we'll see her another day. So I think it really would have kind of opened things up. Jackson, I know you'll agree with this. The ride in the Clement L. Hirsch, not our favorite ride that we've seen from a horse as talented as Copian.
Yeah, that's putting it mildly. It was not a great ride in there. She should have won that race, but I think for the sprint, we're obviously recording this Monday morning. The draw for this race matters so much more than any other race that's going to happen this weekend, because the 6 furlongs at Del Mar, the inside, is not good. It's not good in these 8-horse fields, and my understanding is this is supposed to be potentially 14 horses in the starting gate. So if someone like Copian or someone like Ben Fernando or No Chaser draws towards the inside, that is going to significantly make life more difficult for them. Isn't that speedy type, but also isn't going to drop out the dead last. She wants to be more mid-pack. So if she's drawn to the inside, it's going to be tough. She needs to drop more towards the middle, towards the outside, and that'll give her a chance to run her best race.
I share your same thoughts on that. The draw is certainly important. Last year we saw Raging Torrent draw the rail, and that was pretty much that was all she wrote. That was it. Basically gave Raging Torrent no chance, and that was kind of proven as they ran through the race. You brought up an excellent point. The inside, not the place to be, especially going 6 at Del Mar. Last one on Copian is Greg. You mentioned coming out of the route race, sometimes horses can lose that speed a little bit. That latest workout, I have to watch the video, but it was 3 furlongs and 33 seconds. That is one of the fastest blowout, works I've seen in my recent memory. Do you think maybe that was done with the intention? Obviously, we're not Richard Mandela, but do you anticipate and assume that maybe was with the intention that we're going to have to get a little bit closer to this pace and we got to kind of get that speed back into her? Because she has shown that sprint speed before.
Yeah, I'm glad you picked up on that. Anytime you see that, whenever I see a 3 furlong drill and it's quick, it is, I feel like it's to try and get that speed and make sure that horse is going to be sharp and forward in their next start. And look, that race was August 2nd, so she's had some time too, so she's going to be fresh. So as a result of that as well, a lot of times you see horses come out firing a little bit as well. So I think a great move that maybe puts her in the game a little bit earlier.
I do too. Something unique that you don't see every day, but again, I'm going to kind of trust in the Hall of Famer on this one, that he knows what he's doing, and he knows this horse very, very well. Next one we'll talk about, Right to the Outside. I got to get your opinion on this horse, Greg. I like this horse a lot in the Bing Crosby. What made you attracted to this horse coming off of the prep in the California Flag after finishing second by a nose, and now against the boys, or in the Breeders' Cup Sprint on dirt once again?
I love 7-year-old former maiden claimers. We're both crazy, I guess. Look, this is a former Bruin that played UCLA football. His son did too and was a coach there. So I got to stick. I'm a UCLA alum, so I got to stick with my Bruins. I love this horse, though. He said this horse is kind of like a rejuvenated teenager, and he's just kind of gotten better as he's gotten older. These Graysons, he feels like they tend to do that. That race he ran 2 back in that Bing Crosby, that speed didn't back up. Hizaji was right there at the end, and he blew by this horse with a wide trip around the turn. He lost a lot of ground. He ran massive that day. He's got to do it again. I love that performance from him, and he did it on the track at Del Mar.
Yeah, you saying that last point, he did it over this track at Del Mar, where he's 2 for 2 in the exacta, and that obviously that amazing win last time out. I could not believe it. He was result of a bit of a late odds change in that race. He was not quite 18-1 going in the gate, but that's a conversation that's since been resolved, I guess. Or a situation that's been resolved. Yeah. That race was phenomenal. You mentioned that the speed held together. You see World Record, who was just a little bit off the pace in that race as well. These are both very good horses. Hijazi, I think, ran a very nice race. Needless to say, Hijazi and World Record don't necessarily hold a candle to the rest of the sprint field the way it's been together. World Record at his best, yes, but I think maybe if he's not on the lead, we've seen that he hasn't run his top caliber race. I do think that there is enough speed with Straight No Chaser, especially if one of those speed horses were to draw to the inside. That's really going to force the pace early. And Straight No Chaser, even though he rated a little bit last year and was able to pass horses, I would anticipate the plan is just go from wherever they draw this time.
Yeah, I liked him last year in the race. I actually gave him out, but I think he's going to be forward. He's a tough read. I don't think he's the same horse this year, but he's going to go. Madhouse is going to go. Mulligan usually is probably going to be just off those horses early on. So I think there's going to be enough. It may not be as comic as what he got in that Bing Crosby, but I mean, he got a huge figure for that race. It held up on other figures we see as well. And I love the fact that he was going to, didn't wait on that and train him up to the race, that he gave him that down the hill race to prep and now turf back to dirt again. Obviously it worked last time, but look, he's going to be a huge price. And he probably should be, but I think he's got a big look in the race.
He should be a huge price because he's just not that proven. But this is the third time in his career he will have been going from a down the hill race, then to the 6 furlong on dirt, and it has worked. It's worked in the past. Given the time prior to the Bing Crosby was with a different trainer, Steve Miotti, where he finished second behind Mana Rose, a horse that he lost to last time out on the down the hill turf as well. But I'm with you. I think this is a very live long shot, and I think we're going to get our price once again. Mulligan. Oh, go ahead, Jackson.
Yeah, I was going to ask Greg about Mulligan because you've seen Mulligan multiple times this summer, and he ran really well in those races. I know he finished second to Bookham Dano. Bookham Dano would be the favorite in here, and obviously he's not running because he's targeting a race in like 12 months from now for some reason. But he's not here. Mulligan, if he runs back to those races in the Vanderbilt or the True North, why doesn't he have a shot in here? And he's going to be, I think, 7 or 8 to 1 based on what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, he's probably the horse I'm most interested to see what the morning line is going to be on. But I'm with you. I mean, Bookham Dano would have been favored in here. What a strange pass to not go in this race. But look, played second fiddle to him. But with the exception of that last start, his figures this year, he's probably the fastest sprinter in the country.
Right.
And I think he's going to be forgotten a little bit.
I certainly agree. I think, he hasn't won in a little bit of time. It's been since last summer at the Spa in the Grade 1 Forgo, but he still has run very consistent races. If you forgive the last race in the Grade 1 Forgo where it just must not have been his day, that's very unlike him. So I'm willing to kind of draw a line through that effort, and he can bounce back. Those numbers put him right there. The numbers 2 and 3 back certainly put him, certainly in the money and could even put him on top. Patriot Spirit is another one I know you wanted to mention. What stands out to you about this runner?
Yeah, I think he's another one's going to be a price in here too. I just really like the way he's coming into this race, and I feel like he's going to be overlooked. Those buyers, I think, are a little bit light for him the last couple of starts. He got a negative number sheets-wise 3 starts back on that wet track in the Knicks Go, and then he's paired up numbers that if he can take a jump forward, which you often see when horses pair up figures, puts him right in the mix with the fastest horses, with a Mulligan, with even Ben Tornado in here. And I feel like it's just a 4-year-old who's getting very good late stage of the year at the right time. And he's tactical too.
That's an important point. Yeah, the 6 furlongs having that tactical speed, that tactical ability. I really like what he's shown in those last 2. Those were going 7, but he's traveled to 4 different tracks in his last 4 starts, and he's ran really well in all of those. Maybe not so much the Essex, but you could argue he's going 9 furlongs. That's the distance he clearly does not want to go. He's much better around 1 turn. Obviously, we're going to get a fast track out here at Del Mar, so you don't have to worry about the slop angle. But yeah, I'm with you. He paired up those 2, and I think the tactical speed definitely gives him a bit of an advantage. We were talking a little bit about pace scenarios. Well, I think Puro Magic, if that speed that this horse has can transfer from turf onto the dirt, Japan has shown time and again they are not afraid to go and send like a banshee out of there. Jackson, I know you have to take off here in about 15 seconds. Any final thoughts either on this race or before we get to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile?
Now, the sprint this year, Copian being in this race just, I think, opened it up so much. And then there's between the top 2 of Bentonado and Copian, they both have a good shot. But then there's like 5 or 6 other contenders this race is going to be awesome. I'm really looking forward to it. This
race is going to be a ton of fun. Jackson, thanks for joining us, man. I will see you likely tomorrow as we have another show. Yeah, Mulligan was the favorite in this race last year.
He was.
And now he's going to be like 8 to 1.
Thanks, guys.
All right,
yep.
Jackson,
Thanks, Jackson.
All right, Greg, we're going to move on to our final race that we'll discuss today. It's going to be the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Not maybe not the deepest field that we're gonna have this weekend, but those top contenders could certainly be something pretty cool. We saw Ted Noffey. Yes, it is Ted Noffey. It's not Ned Toffee.
Every single time, it's tough for me to get it right.
I'm with you. I have to scroll down. I have to, read the name and make sure I get it right. We have Ted Noffey. Spendthrift had one of the best Keeneland meets I've ever seen. I want to say they went 7 for 8 or 8 for 9. It was remarkable. Ted Noffey, though, he seems like even if they were having a cold meet, he still would have won this race the right way and as a very nice horse. He obviously had the 2 sprints to start the career. That hopeful. That was an impressive effort the way he finished that race off. It looked like 2 turns was going to be no problem, and then he came out and 2 turns was absolutely no problem. What are your thoughts on Ted Noffey on shipping out here as a 2-year-old, which, maybe is a little bit of an ask, but he did just go to Keeneland and he handled that well. Do you think that, plays a bigger factor when you're going against a horse like Brant or Intrepido, where this is kind of their home turf? And then how do you anticipate Noffey's going to run here?
I'd rather have talent than home turf. And I think he has more talent than a lot of the horses in this field. Yeah, his hopeful was a tour de force. He didn't run I thought he ran significantly slower in the British Futurity. The numbers I look at, but it's still a lot faster than anyone else. And it was his first try around 2 turns, and it's faster than what anyone else has done, even close around 2 turns routing in this field. I think he's a beast. He's a big horse. I think we're going to see improvement. But, these two, I would say, but I just caution never say that in a 2-year-old race. That I think the only time I really ever said that was probably Golden Pal. That's your kind of standout horse in a race, because these 2-year-olds can jump forward so much as you get a little bit progress into the year. But having said that, Ted Noffey looks really good. And he just might be too good for this group. But I think there's still, it's not, as you said, not the deepest juvenile in the world. There's still some interesting horses in here. So I think there's still, I might single him on one ticket and then try and get coverage elsewhere, because I could absolutely see some others stepping up.
Absolutely. I'm with you. I think he's a strong A for me, but I think there's some others that, if Ted Noffey maybe doesn't fire an A+ race, and you mentioned the figures that you look at, didn't show that maybe it was as strong a race as the Beyer, the time form show. And, you can kind of track patterns that way. And I do think he maybe regressed a little bit, routing for the first time compared to that, in the hopeful, where that was just, a tour de force, as you said. A horse that's really interested me and interests you as well is Intrepido, trained by Jeff Mullins, likely to be ridden, I would assume, by Hector Barrios once again. This is a horse I thought the maiden win was pretty impressive, 2 back, just because you beat a couple horses, one in Providence, one in Plutarch, both trained by Baffert. One of those is the first foal out of Monomoy Girl, and the other one, I believe, was bred by Justify, if I'm not mistaken. They were, pretty highly touted in their debut, and Intrepido won like a pretty nice thing, came right back to beat Desert Gate, to beat Plutarch, and beat some others in the American Pharaoh, split runners towards the end there. Is this one of those horses that attracts you just because he's kind of shown that professionalism and that heart and guts and desire to win as a 2-year-old that you don't often see?
I really like his progression. Every single start, he's gotten better. He's taken a step forward. And even in the win in the Grade 1 American Pharaoh, he overcame some trouble in that race. It wasn't huge. I did that says steady, around that first turn. It was minor, but he was steadied a little bit. And then he was definitely boxed in, and he had to overcome and wait on horses a little bit. And I thought he won a lot easier than that 3/4 of a length margin victory shows up as. I thought that was a pretty easy win. And I think he's got a lot of upside here going forward. I really liked how he finished off that race. And anytime you can overcome adversity as a 2-year-old, especially in graded stakes company or Grade 1 level, that's a feather in your cap going into a race like this.
I agree, especially when you're going against, Baffert horses that are going to be very heavily favored. And Baffert's one of those guys that does this time and again. So he knows how to get them ready. And you really have to kind of, beat the best to be the best. And Intrepido did that last time out at almost 9-1. Speaking of Bob Baffert, one of the last horses we'll talk about is going to be Brant. If you look at that debut performance, you see the 101 and immediately, your mind probably goes like, wow, that's a pretty special horse. You see that they're going 5.5. This is a early midsummer type of 101 Beyer. You don't know. I'm one that doesn't tend to trust the Beyers or the time form or really any speed figures this early on, like until the fall starts and they have those, those consistent starts and plenty of races to compare to. What were your thoughts on Brant, other than his action being a little bit weird as he runs?
Yeah, it is a little strange. I think he is absolutely all by himself in this race on the front end, and then we're going to see how far he can go. He is very quick. With you, I question, how quick those are tough races to gauge. I think 5.5 in July for 2-year-olds. And I don't love to see these monster figures first time out from a 2-year-old too. Where are you going to go from there? And even though he won next time out, 121-4 going 7 furlongs is pretty darn quick. So if it all comes down to, can he handle the 2 turns? But I think he's going to have the front end all to himself in this spot. And pretty good couple of horses, though, I think are going to be able to try and run at him. But as you said, Baffert on his home turf with a talented horse like this. I mean, this horse cost $3 million for a reason. But kind of funny that he costs that much money and he runs a little funky. But he is a major danger. He's going to be one of the favorite. He'll probably be second choice, I would think.
I would think so as well. Desert Gate, announced earlier this week, is going to be a defection from this race. Litmus test is still in here. weird scenario type question that we kind of saw come to fruition in last year's Juvenile. Obviously, East Avenue goes to his face, and that kind of eliminates East Avenue from the entire race. I mean, never really ran a step since then. But we saw Gaming and Citizen Bull kind of team up, and they not necessarily bodyguard one versus the other, but they kind of were able to both control the pace up top, and 2 seems to be better than 1. They didn't get in each other's way as much as they, both sat in very comfortable positions for horses. He does have Litmus Test in here as well. Litmus Test has also had a little bit of speed, maybe not the same kind of quickness as Brandt has, but certainly some speed as well. And in a race with not a ton of it, I could maybe see it setting up a similar way, and horse is going to, they're going to have to go try and catch one of these 2 as they turn for home.
Yeah, I really see it as I just think Brandt's too quick for this group early on, and they're going to have to chase him. And for Litmus Test, he went to the lead last start, and he had no chance against Ted Nafi. So I don't know if your horse is who your horse is to some degree, but the horse who showed some ability sitting off early, do they maybe try a little different tactics with him, especially knowing that there's a quicker horse to his inside?
Yeah, well, I wonder.
I don't know. I not know where he's drawn.
No, you're all good. We will find out in about 5 hours or so. So we will know the pose positions very soon. Last one I would like to talk about is the horse that ran second to Ted Nafi last time out, and that is Blackout Time. First of all, the sire, Not This Time, is on just an absolutely generational run. Every single stakes winner, I swear, every time I look up, it's just another one by Not This Time. He can do everything: turf sprinting, routing, fillies, mares, colts, whatever it is, they're going to run, and they're going to run really well. This has that typical Kenny McPeak progression of just getting better every single start. Do you anticipate another step forward? And do you think he can maybe turn the tables on Ted Nafi on Breeders' Cup Juvenile Day?
I'm glad you brought this horse up because, everyone looks, Ted Nafi beat him easily. How's he going to turn the tables? This horse is very, very interesting to me. I think maybe the 2 hottest barns in the country right now are Mike Maker and then Ken McPeak. Ken McPeak is winning everywhere. Even when he's not winning, all his horses are running big at huge prices who you wouldn't even expect to run big. Everything is live out of his barn right now. So I'm going to take a long, hard look at everything he sends out. And that was, first, things can change. Just because Ted Nafi beat him last time out, he can take progression. I mean, we all thought that Locked was going to roll in the Breeders' Cup, and Fierceness is the one who stepped up and blew the doors down. Things can change in this race. The horses can grow up a little bit, and they can surprise you. But you want to see that talent. But I think we did see some talent from this horse, and a little forward move, he could be right there.
I think so too. He has progressed in every start, and it's not like that he hopelessly lost last time out to Ted Nafi. He just was not as good. He got a good ride. Another horse was better on the day, but you mentioned these 2-year-olds can take a step up. And as someone who covers New York racing, you've seen these Kenny McPeak, as you said, he's winning everything with prices too. The training job he's done on a lot of these 2-year-olds, which is not something that he's maybe, the most known for. They're jumping up in their second start and their third start once they kind of get that racing experience. He's had plenty of debut winners as well. It's really been something to watch, and I'm happy I've been able to tag along on a few and throw those on my ticket. Honestly, sometimes just blind, just seeing how hot he's going, just throw a long shot Kenny McPeak runner on there, and you're going to be rewarded more often than not, it seems.
Yeah, he's just on that kind of roll right now. So you got to pay, him, you got to pay extra attention to. He's really, to me, it's like I said, it's him and Maker right now. I think are the 2 hottest trainers in the game right now. And pay attention to that too on Friday for horses who have more in on Saturday. Kind of see how they've been doing with their runners and see if that translates over, because oftentimes it does. It's going back and looking. I was a little shocked. A lot of these big name trainers, their best horses when they get to these big races don't often fire their best races. It's kind of a low percentage of horses that come there from these top barns and run their best race. So we'll see who kind of steps up and is ready to shine in the spotlight.
That's a really good point to bring up, because everybody's pointing to this day. If you're in this race, every single trainer, whether you're hot right now, cold right now, it's probably safe to say most of your focus is going towards that runner or runners, pointing towards whether it's the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, the turf sprint, the filly mare turf, whatever it is. You want that horse to run the best on the best day. And sometimes, Mike Maker might be 60% right now at Aqueduct, but if he comes over here, there's going to be other horses and trainers aiming to have that A+ effort. So,
and I know it feels. I think a lot of people look at this too, and we're all excited about the Classic. It's a tremendous race this year. It's one of the best we've seen probably in a while. But then you look at a lot of the other races, and it feels, it could have a chance to be very chalky. A lot of favorites could win. Remember, it's the Breeders' Cup, and crazy things can happen.
Crazy things can happen. Crazy things do happen. Greg, thanks so much for joining us today. This has been a ton of fun. I've really enjoyed having you on the show for the first time. Mentioned in the pre-show, you and Meg helped show me around Saratoga when I was a little bit turned around there. So I do appreciate that a ton. Aside from the Breeders' Cup Classic, on Breeders' Cup Juvenile, Breeders' Cup Championship Day on Saturday, is there a race you're most looking forward to, whether we talked about it today or just anywhere else in the card on those 13 other races?
Honestly, I can't wait for the sprint. I'm really excited about that. With the presence of Copion, I picked Straight No Chaser, who I liked last year, but I love Sick Blues, who I talked about. I think Mulligan's interesting. I think Patriot Spirit's interesting. That speed you talked about, you brought up that speed horse from Japan. Turf sprint speed is always quick on dirt. The other way around is not always the case, but that's a horse that's going to provide more pace to the race as well. But that's going to be a really interesting one for me. The 2-year-old races, to be honest, I still have a lot of work to do on these two, especially the turf races, to look at some of these Europeans and everything. So in terms of those, I'm still kind of sorting out a lot of my work on that.
Yeah, me too. But this is where all the work kind of gets finalized. We got about 4 more days. Greg, I can't thank you enough. This has been a ton of fun talking horses with you. And if and when Lovesick Blues wins on Saturday, you'll be getting a text from me without a doubt. Because we'll be probably the only 2 people on the track that have that horse. Hope he can certainly repeat the effort he did in the Bing. For your host, Ryan Anderson, this is Greg Wolf, my guest. Thanks again, Greg, for joining us. I will see you guys tomorrow on the channel. Jackson will be back with us, and maybe Kaylee Shapiro as well. Have a good night. And thank you again, Greg.
Yeah, thanks for having me.